For problem number 5, chapter 7, section 6, we're asked to use Dirichlet, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, theorem to find the values at which the Fourier series converges, for example, at x equals to 0, and then when it's equals to plus or minus pi over 2, and when it's equals to plus or minus pi, and when it's equals to plus or minus 2 pi. So one thing I want to show here is I drew the function. Actually, let me do this in red so it's easier to see. Okay. As you can see, you can see the function. Now I want to actually draw it a little bit more. So we know it's a periodic function. So here we're gonna have another period like this, and then over here we're gonna go this, and then we go up. Now if I were to make this line going, now for example go all the way over here, and this function here would be, this value here would be 2 pi, and here we would have 5 pi over 2. Here we would have 3 pi. Okay, so now what is the value when x converges? What the value of our Fourier series when x equals 0? What is the value that Fourier converges? Well, it's equals to, in this case, we take the value from this point here, the value from this point here, we find the average. The value at that point here, the first point, the one on top here, is going to be equals to 0. And the value on this, or over one here, will be equals to 1, divided by 2, actually, is equals to negative 1. So divided by 2 is going to be equals to negative 0.5, or I want to write it as a fraction, it just looks better, negative 1/2. That is when x converges to 0. Alright? And then what about positive pi over 2? Well, we're going to have the point right here. So the first one on top will be equals to 1. The one on the bottom is equals to a negative 1, so plus negative 1 divided by 2 is then equals to 0 when x equals to positive pi over 2. Okay, it doesn't look too well. X equals pi over 2. Perfect. Okay, now what about pi instead? Well, pi is equals to this point here, actually. The one on top is going to be equals to 1. The one on the bottom is equals to 0, so 1 plus 0 divided by 2 is equals to 1/2 when we said x is equals to pi, because we're looking at the point pi. Okay. Now, what about the point we said 2 pi, positive 2 pi? Well, let's just write already when x is equals to 2 pi. Positive 2 pi means here and here. The point here is equals to 0 plus the point on the bottom is negative 1. So negative 1 divided by 2 is equals to a negative 1/2 again. As you can see, there's a periodicity of 2 pi, because we know that it goes from 0 to 2 pi to repeat itself. So as you can see, the values here will repeat itself, 0 to 2 pi. Now, one trick we can use now is, for example, when we want to find the value of negative 2 pi, then it's like saying that when x equals to negative 2 pi, and then plus 2 pi, because it's periodicity, we're going to have this point right here. So our value will be equals to negative 1/2. Now let's check to make sure. So let me actually move all these calculations a little more to the right, so we have the space that we need. And this graph more to the right, so we have the space on the left. Okay. So, okay. Now, we're gonna have to draw the same values. We know it's periodic. So here on top, here on the bottom, and then 2 like this. And then again will be on the top and then on the bottom. Okay, so here we have negative 3 pi over 2. Here negative 2 pi. And let's look at the values right here. Well, here it's 0. Here is negative 1 divided by 2 is equals to negative 1/2. Exactly like we predicted right here. Okay, so let me delete this part right here. And let me clear out some of our drawings on the graph. So okay, now our graph looks neat again. So we know that, let me write it all together. X is equals to negative 1/2. Actually, sorry, our Fourier series is equals to negative 1/2 when x is equals to 0 or plus or minus 2 pi. Okay, let's look at the other values here. If I went back a value to negative 2 pi, I will get negative pi. So at x equals negative pi, or pi, we always get 1/2. 1/2 when x is equal to plus or minus pi. Okay, now let's go check. Pi right here, 0.0, so 0 plus point here is 1. 1 divided by 2 is 1/2, as you can see. Okay, so this one look a little better. Okay, now we have to find what is left. When x equals to plus or minus pi over 2. Now we know that when x equals to pi over 2, then we have 0. Let's look at our negative pi over 2. Negative pi over 2 right here. As you can see, it's one single point, so it's going to be equal to 0. So we know that it's equals to 0 when x is equals to plus or minus pi over 2. Now, it's not a periodic here because as you can see there's only a jump of pi and not 2 pi, but it just happens to be equal to 0 for both of them. So our answers are these ones right here. Oops.